I was listening to that music and I forgot I was first here. Good morning and welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are delighted to have you here, both in this space and attending virtually. It's really good to be together, a community of youth, adults, and children sharing the values of courage, reverence, and compassion. My name is Kristen Daniels. I use the pronouns she, her, and I'm a member on your board of directors. As always, our staff and ministers are running an all-ages, multi-platform social hour beginning at 10:05 and 12:05. This 20-minute session of sharing and randomized small groups is designed to provide a deep and intentional welcome to all. Please come to the social hall or find the Zoom link in the chat box. Starting today, our small groups can have a consent conversation about going mask-free, if all agree. When you enter the social hall, you'll be able to choose a number for your small group based on whether you prefer to be masked or unmasked, or have no preference. If you prefer an informal time of mingling, feel free to do so in the Emerson alcove. For those of you who are relatively new and who want to learn more, please mark your calendars for the next Membership 1 class. It will be taking place next Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m., and it will be multi-platform, meaning you can participate in person or on Zoom. Please watch e-news for more details or contact Reverend Jack. If you have a prayer request today, you can put it in the meditation bowl or you can enter it in the Zoom chat. Service participants today include Reverend Sarah, Nico Van Ostrand, Reverend Jack, and Kathy McComber. Behind the scenes support from Aaron Scott and Amy Peterson-Derrick. Music today is from Aliyah Jaraj and Laura Stone-Jaraj. Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Good morning. I'm not able to be with you this morning. I am at one of the Unitarian Universalist congregations in Boulder, Colorado, where I have the honor of doing the charge to the congregation at the installation of Reverend David Schwartz. A lot of you will remember David because he was an intern here. So I bring with me this weekend the good wishes of this church for David and his new post. Well, it's about the end of Pledge Month, and the good news is that we have received, as of Wednesday, $631,000 in pledges for the coming year. Among those who have sent in pledges, who were pledging this year, there was about 48% of them increased, and we're at 68% of our goal. That's all great. The hard news is that we haven't heard from about 150 of our current pledging families. And so to be able to move forward next year with White Bear UU Church's mission and set up the congregation well to be attractive to potential candidates for the lead minister position, we need to get in the neighborhood of our goal. So I thank all of you who have submitted your pledges for the year. Thank you so much. And to the rest, I plead with you, please let us know what you're planning to pledge for next year. Whether it's 100,000 or zero or something in between, it'll help us finish the campaign and know where we are and be able to budget for next year. So we have board members and other volunteers and the 3 ministers ready to start phone calling folks we haven't heard from on Tuesday. I've got 15 calls on my list, and we will all be so grateful if you save us needing to call you by getting in your pledge, either pledge online, if you're here today, pledge in the lobby, mail your card in, let us know, and then we can take you off the list and finish this pledge drive. Again, thank you all who have pledged. Thank you those who haven't but are going to get to that in the next few days. We are grateful and look forward to the very successful end to our campaign. Thank you.
Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes, for here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where you can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together, we make it a holy place. Kathy McComber will lead us in our chalice lighting.
Good morning to you all. When I read our April theme, Awakening the Practice of Curiosity, I immediately flashed back to a new member class Jeff and I attended 3 years ago. During the class, Reverend Sarah shared with us a story from her seminary experience. One of her professors had asked the question, "What is the opposite of anxiety?" As Sarah paused, I thought about the question, and the words that came to my mind were calm, peace, stillness. Sarah said his answer was curiosity. That was a light bulb moment for me immediately without quite knowing how I would employ it. But employ it I have over and over since that class. In daily life, I have situations that make me a little anxious. Driving in downtown Minneapolis or any big city can make me tense. All the other drivers apparently know exactly where they're going. I began practicing this anxiety, anxious, worried, nervous linkage with curiosity. So when I recognize a little tension building, the word curiosity pops into my head. Shifting my focus to curiosity pushes fear and anxiety out of the way. Instead, I'm crafting questions to explore and examine the issue confronting me. It's empowering and fascinating. What can I learn here? Why is this scary? Topics that are interesting rather than frightening. Over the past couple years, I've expanded this practice to things that make me, while not necessarily anxious, frustrated, or angry. I find curiosity works there too. In the past few years, I've had encounters with relatives and a very close friend who all have very different perspectives on public health, contagious disease, and courtesy versus individual rights than I. As I shift from defensive resistance and frustration to curiosity and genuine openness, I see a connection to our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. So whether I'm with someone whose worldview is vastly different from my own, or whether I'm behind someone who seems to be inventing a new protocol at a four-way stop, I go to curiosity and the first principle. Today we light the chalice for awakening, curiosity, and the inherent worth and dignity of us all.
Please join me in the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn is Morning Has Come, number 1000 in the Teal hymnal. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Morning has come, arise
One of the many things that church is for is helping us figure out how to live a good life. Often that means asking a lot of questions, and usually those questions don't have very easy answers. Today's story is called The Three Questions by Leo Tolstoy, retold here in an adaptation by Amy Peterson Derrick. Sam wanted more than anything to be a kind and loving friend. You could often find Sam laying on a grassy hillside or perched on the branch of a tree, pondering just this. On one particular day, as Sam laid on a favorite hillside, the sun just warm enough to keep the cool breeze from being too cold, it occurred to Sam that if only they always knew just the right time to begin everything, who was the most important person to listen to, and what was the most important thing to do, then Sam could be a kind and loving friend. And so Sam decided to ask the people they loved most the answers to these questions. When is the right time? Who is the most important one? And what is the most important thing to do? Sam's best friend said that to know the right time, one must make a plan and stick to it no matter what. Sam's mom said that no one person could know everything, so it was important to have a circle of wise friends. Sam's sibling said, there's no way to know what the most important thing to do is unless you can see into the future. So to answer this question, you must be a magician. Sam wasn't so sure. But still wishing to find the right answers to these questions, Sam decided to ask a wise teacher named Joy, who lived next door. The next day, Joy was delighted to find their neighbor outside working in the garden. Seeing Sam, Joy was delighted and greeted them with a warm smile, then turned back to her work. Sam was surprised to find that Joy seemed tired and breathed heavily with each turn of the spade into the earth. Sam carefully approached Joy. "Excuse me," said Sam. "I see that you are busy, but I wondered if I help you, if you might have time to help me with a few questions that I have been wondering about." Joy looked up again and smiled. "Of course, Sam, I would be so grateful for your help." And so Sam started digging and asked their questions. When is the right time? Who is the most important one? And what is the most important thing to do? Joy smiled, but before she could say anything, they heard a strange noise coming from the bushes. "Just a moment," said Joy. "Let's see what this is." As they carefully crept closer, they found an injured rabbit tucked in behind the bushes. "Well," said Joy, "it seems this rabbit is in need of some extra care. Sam, we will need a box and some towels to help me transport this poor thing to someone who can give it proper care. Do you think you can help with that?" Sam quickly ran home and returned with a shoebox lined with the softest towels they could find. Joy pulled on her gardening gloves and carefully scooped up the rabbit and placed it in the box. Sam helped Joy to her car and waved goodbye as Joy drove off, then sat down in her yard, waiting for her to come back. It wasn't long before Joy returned and announced to Sam that the rabbit was in good hands and was going to be okay. Sam was relieved, but still hadn't forgotten about the 3 questions. "Joy," said Sam, "I wonder if now would be an okay time to ask my questions." Joy sat down next to Sam and smiled, let out a soft chuckle. "But Sam, you have already been answered." Sam was confused. "How? What do you mean?" "Don't you see," replied Joy, "if you had not come to help me earlier, I would have had to dig those gardens all by myself when I was tired. So the most important time was when you were digging in the garden, and I was the most important one, and to help me was the most important thing. Then when we heard the injured rabbit, it was the most important one, and what you did for the rabbit was your most important thing." Sam thought about this. "So," Sam replied carefully, "that means that now is the most important time. and whoever I am with is the most important one, and to do good is the most important thing. You got it, Sam, replied Joy. Just keep listening and paying attention to the world around you, and you will be just fine.
Please join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Take a breath and feel your body sink in to the depth of this moment. Gather as we are today, about 40 people here in this room and 68 households joining by Zoom. We have collected the requests from the prayer bowl, and those attending via Zoom still have time to enter theirs into the chat box. But first, a blessing for challenging times. When war is all around us, may we stay attentive. May we find and build little moments of joy and little moments of peace. When war is deep within us, may we make room for rest and move toward balance and inner peace. When the guards of ignorance block our doors from strangers seeking hospitality and refuge, may we find the courage to tell ignorance to stand aside and let in our fellow travelers. When addiction tries to bend us to its will, may we stand firm in our convictions and in our own power. When isolation threatens to divide us from our humanity, may we find and nurture connection. When sorrow tears at the corners of our hearts, may we seek out and find relief in healthy ways. When the world shifts, may we find new and wise ways to shift with it. And when it's spinning out of control, may we find stability in the grounded sense of who we are and who we are called to be. Whatever our circumstances today, let us wake up to the power we have to make a difference in our own lives and in the lives of those around us. May we awaken to radical hope, to deep curiosity, and to our symbiotic sense of community. Today, we hold in light and love the following members of our community. Rachel Peterson and her family. Rachel's father, Bill Erickson, died on March 16th. After celebrating an all-clear assessment of his esophageal cancer in December, he discovered that it resurfaced and had spread in February. His death then came quickly. We hold in light and love the eldest daughter of two of our members. She has been struggling with substance abuse and has accepted treatment as an option and begins that journey of healing this week. Prayers for courage and resilience. Phil Williams, as he goes into open heart surgery tomorrow. We also hold in light and love his wife, Kate Christopher, and their 3 kids. Prayers and good wishes are welcome. A blessing for Jean Doolittle's grandson on his 4th birthday, far away in Korea. We celebrate with Reverend David Schwartz and the UU Church of Boulder, Colorado, David's installation later today. May Reverend David and the Boulder congregation's shared ministry be filled with blessings. And now we take a moment to name out into the silence the names of the people who we want held in light and in love. May it be so, and make it so. Amen.
This morning's offering goes to support the life and livelihood of this congregation. As of today, we are returning to the practice of passing the offering basket. Please know that you can also contribute to the offering by sending in a check, donating online, or using the text to give feature. Thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together.
Our first reading is When Death Comes by Mary Oliver. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright colors from his purse, bright coins from his purse, to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measlepox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? Our second reading is from Joy Harjo. This morning I pray for my enemies. And whom do I call my enemy? An enemy must be worthy of engagement. I turn in the direction of the sun and keep walking. It's the heart that asks the question, not my furious mind. The heart is the smaller cousin of the sun. It sees and knows everything. It hears the gnashing even as it hears the blessing. The door to the mind should only be open from the heart. An enemy who gets in risks the danger of becoming a friend.
How would it be if everything that you thought you knew was turned upside down, opposite from your point of view? How would you feel if the ground was really the sky, and all of this time you've been walking when you could have been flying? If you run 1,000 miles a minute, you can't expect to wear out a few pairs of shoes. If you forget how to love and take it for granted, you can't expect to wear out people close to you. What if all the birds were flying just to show us, and all the trees were really holding the sky up, and everything that you do matters somehow? What if heaven and hell was right now? How would it be if you really created your life? Stories you told, the good and bad, that they come alive. And how would it change if your words were like nails and wood? You build your house, but you forget that it's just a house. You can't rebuild it. What if all the birds were flying just to show us, and all the trees were really holding the sky up, and everything that you do matters in the end? What if all of our mistakes are forgiven? What if love is a lot of listening, a little bit of time, not pretending we are caught up in a world of daydreams? What if loving what you have is everything? What if all the birds were flying just to show us, and all the trees were really holding the sky up, and everything that you do matters so much? How would you change your life? How would you change your
As I've shared before, probably a couple of times, I come from lemonade people. Folks who can find the sweetness in any situation, the silver lining to any cloud. But you may not know that I also come from jump in and fix it people. Folks who turn a broken thing over, look at it from a different angle to find out how it works and how to put it back together. These are different sides of my family, the optimists and the fixers. But in truth, my parents were a beautiful pairing. an optimist and a fixer come together to approach the world with similar attitude. I come from people who arrive in situations with a posture of curiosity. What is that? What does it mean to have a posture of curiosity? Well, as Kathy told you in our chalice lighting, I like to tell a story about a seminary professor who asked us the question, what is the opposite of anxiety? After the pause that she left, we all gave our answers, and I think mine was calm. And the professor said, the opposite of anxiety is not serenity. The opposite of anxiety is curiosity. Instead of saying, oh no, what's going to happen? Curiosity says, oh yes, what's going to happen? This concept just blew my mind. I barely remember the rest of the lesson they were teaching when this came up as a tangential thought, but this concept has stuck with me, helped shape me. When something goes wrong and anxiety says, I knew this would happen, an optimist says, what if we can learn something from it? The fixer says, what if it's not broken and I can fix it? These are curiosity questions. What can I learn and how do I make it better? But what does it mean to have a posture of curiosity? Maybe if we look at the opposite, we might find the way. What does it mean to have a posture of anxiety? I once again turn to my trusty scholar inspirational guide, Brené Brown. In her new book, Atlas of the Heart, which is a gorgeous encyclopedia of emotions, Brown says that anxiety is usually related to an intolerance for uncertainty, meaning that folks who struggle with not knowing and the unknown more often experience anxiety and anxiety disorders. One way that people cope with anxiety is worry, and in her words, worry is a chain of negative thoughts about bad things that might happen in the future. She says that anxiety is a future-oriented emotion, but fear is a reaction to immediate threat in the present. And like all of the experiences in this book, she says, both anxiety and our fear need to be understood and respected, perhaps even befriended. We need to pull up a chair and sit with them, understand why we're showing up, and ask ourselves, what is there to learn? Oh, there's curiosity again. Sometimes I have experiences of anxiety. I ask worried questions like, what if this sermon is really boring? What if I say the wrong thing again? What if I trip and fall and everybody laughs? What if you break my heart? And worse, what if I break yours? You can be plagued by what ifs. We all can. Plain old worries about safety. What if the path is too slippery? What if that dog bites me? More interpersonal concerns, perhaps. What if I don't understand? What if people see how messed up I am? And even huge wonderings. What if we can't solve climate change? What if the war in Ukraine becomes something more? What if? A couple weeks ago, I came across this book called The What Ifs by Emily Kilgore, who I found, she lives in Minneapolis. Who knew? Cora, the main character, is nervous and jumpy and always wondering if bad things are going to happen, which brings the what ifs directly to her. These creatures, the what ifs. These tiny but heavy creatures follow her everywhere, and when they latch on, they whisper questions and weigh her down. One day she's getting ready for her piano recital, and the what-ifs are whispering all kinds of questions in her ears. What if she plays the wrong note? What if no one comes? What if too many people come? What if she can't do it right? She gets so weighed down with what ifs that she's almost too panicked to move. Just then, her friend comes over to help her, and Cora tells her about the what ifs. Cora says, I have too many what ifs. They make me imagine the bad things might happen. Stella reminds her that we all have what ifs, and that just a minute ago, Stella asked herself, what if I could help? Cora didn't know there could be good what ifs. She thought they were all sad or scary, but Stella says, of course there are good ones. Like, what if there's chocolate cake after the recital? And Cora says, what if I play better than ever? When it's Cora's turn to play, she is no longer weighed down by the heavy what ifs. Instead, she has new friendly what ifs on her shoulders, giving her confidence. And even when she hits a wrong note, she sees her friend cheering her on, and her new lighter what ifs say, what if I can do this? And she does. Cora learns about the switch from anxiety to curiosity, learning how to shift her oh no's to oh yes. Stella helped turn it upside down. They looked at it a different way and saw the hope in the situation, which makes it bearable. Some definitions of curiosity are about wonder and about learning, but that's not all that curiosity does for us. Curiosity is its reason for existing, Brené Brown says, is not simply to be a tool for acquiring knowledge. It reminds us that we are alive. Curiosity opens our hearts, it opens our minds, and makes the intolerable tolerable. Curiosity makes the unknown a thing of interest instead of a thing to fear. Curiosity opens the door for empathy, compassion, and authentic human connection. Curiosity asks what-if questions that lead us toward each other instead of away. As in Kathy's chalice lighting, sometimes we have people in our lives who believe very different things about politics or vaccination. Often the draw is to judge and to scoff at them for thinking the way they do, but if we can turn our world upside down and see things a different way, approach them with a posture of genuine curiosity, we might find a way to understanding. In our special music from Ellis, their song, How Would It Be, asks the question, how would it be if things were upside down and opposite of your point of view? They ask so many positive what-ifs in their song, enticing us to view the world a little differently, making changes that are life-sustaining. How would it be, I wonder, if you could turn your thoughts upside down, turn your anxiety into curiosity? How would it be to have a posture of curiosity? It would mean asking questions and letting go of worries when we can. In this time of change in our congregation and in our world, questions like, what if everything changes, can be seen in two ways. Oh no, what if everything changes and what if I don't fit here anymore? Or, oh yes, what if everything changes and what if it makes us stronger, happier, more connected people? And it all begins with the question, what if? I invite you now to rise in body or spirit to sing our hymn, Wake Now My Senses, number 298 in our hardback gray hymnal. We are going to sing verses 1, 3, and 4.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call.
Go now, embrace the whole human race, embrace the posture of curiosity, and keep asking, what if? Go in peace.
Thank you.